So wines are great social drinks, great for conversations and more. But what is the story behind wines? Today I am in Stellenbosch, one of the largest wine producing regions in South Africa, and I'm going to trail the story of how wines are made from start to finish. And so come on, join me, let's have this journey. Stellenbosch boasts a winemaking tradition which stretches back to the end of the 17th century. The mountainous terrain, good rainfall, deep well-drained soils and diversity of terroir makes this a sought-after viticultural area. Winemaking starts with the harvesting of grapes, and in South Africa, this happens in February and March. So we cannot fully experience the winemaking process from harvest to bottling in one season. We made our first stop at Anura Wine Estate, where we basically tasted some of the award-winning wines from the estate.
We have quite a strong brand in South Africa. You know, I started at Anura 16 years ago, 2004. So as you can hear my accent, I'm born in Germany, but I lived for already 76 years in South Africa. So I know the place quite well, and obviously Anura as well, because our maiden year was 2000.
Okay.
So we're in the 20th years. And of course, what is definitely to mention, the farm is very successful. We made last year nearly 1 million bottles of wine. So that is quite in 20 years.
Yeah, that's incredible.
What we achieved is quite, and of course we have numerous awards. Our biggest client at the moment is South African Airways and Lufthansa. So I mean, this SIA we work already together since maybe at least around 10 years. So we had always a very good relation. Okay, lately they are a little bit have financial issues, but who hasn't got that in these days? Now, Lufthansa is, for example, for Lufthansa we made a special wine for the business class. A border style blend, a Cabernet Merlot, Petit Verdot blend, and the whole deal came only together about our Petit Verdot. And that what is very, very proud about it, because our Petit Verdot is extremely good. And I won also the Terroir Award for the best Petit Verdot in South Africa. Wow. So it's 100% Petit Verdot, and it is a big wine. It is, you know, like a more or less like a Cabernet. It's a huge wine.
Warwick Estate is a high-end South African winery, also in Stellenbosch. We kicked off our visit with a Land Rover safari ride over the slopes to enjoy the vistas in what Warwick terms the Big Five Safari, a tongue-in-cheek comparison of their Big Five grape varietals to their Animal Kingdom counterparts. The estate has a rich farming history dating back to 1771. Then a fruit farm, Warwick only emerged on the forefront of South Africa's wine scene when Stan and Norma Radcliffe bought the estate in 1964. They started developing the land with an extensive focus on the classic Bordeaux varieties, i.e. Cabernet Franc and Cabernet Sauvignon. Through determination and commitment, Norma Radcliffe became one of the Cape's first female winemakers and one of its most illustrious wine personalities, whose legacy is immortalized in the Warwick First Lady range. After the scenic safari, we surely end our ride to taste the iconic First Lady and more of the other amazing wines Warwick has to offer.
Very cool. This wine again, sourced from Robertson, stylistically, it's got a beautiful balance of acidity, lovely aromatics.
When grapes are harvested, they are sorted, destemmed and made ready for crushing. We were lucky to see a bit of the process at Warwick. Mechanical presses storm the grapes into freshly pressed grape juice that contain the skin, seeds and solids. For white wine, the winemaker will quickly crush and press the grapes in order to separate the juice from the skins, seeds and solids. However, for red wine, it is left in contact with the skins to acquire flavor, color, and additional tannins. Yeast is added for fermentation to ensure consistency and predict the end result. Fermentation can take 10 days to a month or more. The final stage of the winemaking process is aging and bottling. Further aging can be done in the bottles, stainless steel tanks, or oak barrels. We got to see an example of the bottling process at the Thelema Mountain Vineyards.
I'm Thomas Webb from Thelema Mountain Vineyards. This is my family's property that we bought in 1983. It was a rundown old fruit orchard, and my dad identified it as a great site to plant grapes and make exceptional wine. So we went about pulling out all the orchards, planting vineyards, building a winery, and our first wines were made in 1988. And 3 decades later, we considered one of the top South African wine producers. It's quite a small scale business, very much quality focused. And yeah, we hope you enjoy our wines. Our Thelema range is our range of wines we make from this property, but we also have another vineyard in the Elgin wine region called Sutherland, and there we make another range of wines, similar quality to Thelema, but just from a slightly cooler climate. Our main wines from this property are Sauvignon Blanc, Chardonnay, Shiraz, Merlot and Cabernet Sauvignon. For us it's very important to do everything ourselves, so we make sure we've got total control of the whole system. We plant the vines, we pick the grapes, we bring the grapes into the winery where we crush them, we start the fermentation, we store the red wines in French oak barrels. Then when the wines are ready and finished, then we bottle them at our bottling plant here on the farm. And then we store the wines here, and as soon as people want the wines, we pop them on the truck and off they go. Thelema Sauvignon Blanc is incredibly popular because it's very light, very refreshing. Our Merlot is very popular, but our most popular wine, the one that we're best known for, is a Thelema Cabernet Sauvignon with the black label. It's just classic Thelema Cabernet Sauvignon, beautifully styled, beautifully structured, a little bit of a Bordeaux, classic French style to it, but still with that nice juicy South African fruit.
We later made our way to Spear Wine Farms. Spear is one of South Africa's oldest wine farms, with a recorded history dating back to 1692. Spear wines are among the most awarded in the country.
Marina, I'm responsible for supporting Spear in the global markets with marketing. So Spear has been a feature in the Stellenbosch wine route for the last 300 years. So in the brief history, the owners who currently manage the farm has owned the property since 1993, and they also live on the property. There's a lot of Cape Dutch buildings around which you would see if you go to their farm.
After the brief introduction, we drove to the other side of the property for a wine tasting experience. In 2019, Spear Wine Farm received 9 double gold medals and 7 gold medals at the Veritas Wine Awards.
It's a lovely fruity style of Chenin Blanc, so lots of pineapple, mango, banana, apricots, all the tropical fruit you can think of. It's got really nice balanced acidity, so it's not a sweet wine, but on the nose you get a lot of fruit. And this is one of our best sellers in South Africa and across the world. This is not the wine that won the trophy for best Chenin Blanc in the world. And that's our Chenin Blanc.
We concluded our experience with Stellenbosch wines at De Trafford, a small family winery in the mountains above Stellenbosch.
We're a small boutique winery at the end of the Blauwklippen Road on the slopes of the Helderberg. About 40,000 bottles total. Everything we do by hand, unfiltered. Everything we produce goes into barrels. So we don't really have, we don't have an entry-level wine as such. It's all kind of small quantity of high-quality wines. Mostly red wines. But we do a barrel fermented Chenin Blanc as well for the last 25 years. So we have a vineyard, a small vineyard. It's only red grapes because we are on a north-facing slope, and I felt that the vineyard is better for red grapes. And we buy our Chenin Blanc, and we buy a little bit of Cabernet Sauvignon Syrah as well. So we have basically our own vineyard, and then we complement that with buying some grapes, mostly from our immediate neighbor. And then, we also started a new vineyard and a new venture near Cape Agulhas, quite far from here, on completely different soils and terroir, and that's called Seine. It's at the mouth of the Breda River, and it's the original Khoisan name for the Breda River. The altitude is very important. Especially for Cabernet Sauvignon, you have a little bit brighter light, which is good for softening the tannins. It also is slightly cooler. We are about 2 degrees cooler than most of Stellenbosch. So it's a little bit longer ripening time, a little bit more ideal ripening conditions for certain varieties. And yes, it does play a role in the wine. And the grapes we buy are also mostly at a similar altitude and a similar soil type. So the idea of the wine is to really express this sense of place. And we live in a beautiful place, so we have quite an obligation to make something really special.